if I stay inside his body, I'm giving him really easy access to that, right? So the blade goes back in this hand. Once I'm here and I'm getting tight, I'm going to really try to move to his outside and keep your elbow, okay? Okay. And I'm going to really keep pulling that elbow into my abdomen, trying to get to his outside. Because if I'm here and he starts to reach around, I can really start to go after that elbow. And if it's still, he's getting it. Notice what I'm doing. More of a pin, boom, and I'm going to be coming in, throwing those same shots, getting him distracted with blows. One of the things you got to get really good at with weapons defense is fighting with one arm. One of the things I have a lot of my guys do is just practice palm strike, elbow rake, these kind of things with just one arm. Hold something in one hand. Hold a dumbbell. Okay? Hold something here, and then just practice your moves, whatever they are. You have to be able to fight and knock somebody out with one arm, or even kill them with one arm if you have to. Because once you've got that wrap, trust me, physiologically, emotionally, you're not going to want to let it go. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on this this wrap position? Yeah, no? Questions? I can't see what time it is. We got some more, a little bit more time? Okay. You guys want to try something fun now? Okay. I'm going to have you put the blades away for a minute. I'm going to teach you a drill we call Range Rover. One of the most important principles in fighting, and this one always strikes people a little bit weird, and we say it this way intentionally to get people thinking, is that the bad guy always controls the fight. Anyone have a problem with that? Or do you agree or disagree? Some of you agree, some of you are like, I don't know, I never thought about it. Okay, at least initially. Right, and that's the important point. Because if I'm the bad guy, I'm picking the date, the time, the place, whether they're friends, the weather, weapons involved, etc. I'm in control of the fight. The bad guy also controls how hard you hit him and when you hit him and how many times you hit him. Right? He's always giving you, and this is real important for after-action reports, you want to be able to articulate what he did that made you hit him. Right? So, all those things have to be in place in your training. We actually have drills where we call what we call a narration drill. It would start like this. You can just, he's a voice-activated robot, okay? And the drill looks like this. His hands are down, okay? I'm the cop. I say, I step out of a store. I feel something that makes me feel kind of weird. I look to my right, there's a guy staring at me, okay? He looks at me, he goes, don't I know you? Don't I know you? Okay, he takes a couple steps toward me. I go, sir, you need to stop right there. You're making me nervous. He stops. He looks at me and he goes, you're the fucker that put me in jail. And then he would say that, okay? We go through the whole fight this way, articulating what he did that made me do what I'm about to do. Does that make sense? It's a really powerful drill to give guys an understanding not only of what happens, of all the precursors to a fight, but also how to explain why they did afterwards. Yeah, it's like writing a report live action. It's a really cool drill. You can also do it with dash cams. Watch a dash cam, have your officer. One guy's the officer, the other one's the bad guy, but the bad guy's a robot, and we're just hacking our way through it. It's an amazing learning tool, okay, but that's not the drill. That was a freebie. The drill we're going to do is called Range Rover. I don't know where that came from. That just popped in my head. The drill we're going to do is called Range Rover, and the idea here is to physically express that idea that the bad guy always controls the fight. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to set up a little scenario. Let's say Gary's the bad guy, and real slow he's going to reach up, he's going to grab my lapel, and from here he's going to throw a haymaker at me. And when that shot comes in, I'm just going to duck down, and I'm going to let him actually fall through, and we're going to wind up in this kind of position. Okay, just something that never happened in real life, right? Okay, so watch your dash cams. From here, as a trained martial artist or DT guy or whatever, wouldn't I have a favorite technique? Most of us do. Okay, what do you guys see right here? Okay, most of us would think, boom, and drive that knee in to knock him down. Okay, however, in this drill, Gary now has 4 options. Okay, he can call legs, he can call striking, he can call close quarters, or he can call grappling. I don't get to move until he tells me what I have to do. Okay, so from here, what'd you call?
Close quarters.
So from here, I've got to think, okay, what would be closest weapon, closest target? Boom, headbutt. Now he did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was feign the reaction and start to move away. Now he's going to call another
leg,
and I'm going, okay, this doesn't feel comfortable to me. I wouldn't normally kick from here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop his hand off, boom, and I'm going to drive a knee in.
Grappling.
And now he's calling grappling, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll just take him down here. But now he may call something hard. Strikes. And I'm going, okay, what am I going to do from here? But here's where you start to get creative. I'm going to use my bicep. Check this out. Pop. Okay? You guys all saw what I did? This thing. And now I'm here. He calls something else.
Grappling.
I'm going, okay. What do I want now? Okay? Does that make sense?
Come all the way down on that.
But what's really cool about this drill is it gets you out of doing your best move. Okay? Because we always do our best move in training. This is a drill that'll make you do something else. Okay? And is there a situation that could arise? You know, maybe it's this. He throws a haymaker at me, and I'm here, and I'm thinking, God of War has just set things up, you know, and I'm going, I'm about to drill this guy. I've been waiting for 10 years to hit somebody this hard. And as I go, you know, and I'm getting ready to hit that elbow, the car door right behind me starts to open up, or right behind him, and I see 3 guys who don't look like my team coming. Okay, so does the idea now of going boom and driving through him into them make sense? No. I may need to go, God of War, whoops, boom, you know, and hit him with something and move out and access a weapon. So spontaneity, the ability to adjust on the fly, the ability to hit targets that you wouldn't normally think as a target, those will all start to show up in this drill. Okay, so level 1 is he just keeps calling. Level 2 is where it gets interesting. He throws the punch. He calls legs. Or he calls one of the 4, whatever they are. There are legs, striking, grappling, and close quarters. So he calls one of the 4. Legs, and I go, boom. He did a good job emulating the pain and movement. Now I call. Okay, striking. Okay, he calls.
Striking.
And I'm going, now obviously I'm thinking his face makes the most sense, right? But he's also thinking his face makes the most sense. So I may want to do something like this, boom, you know, and drill him in the groin. And now we wind up here. Is that starting to make sense to you? It's a very weird drill, okay? Spontaneous, and you'll notice targets a lot more quickly. Okay, so grab your partner, start off with stage 1, and then we'll move to stage 2 in a couple minutes. He has to move from the shot. He has to feign the pain and the motion. There you go. Right? If he's pointing at me and I'm thinking I'm going to take this guy out, you know, again, most people are thinking, okay, pass and come in and hit him. Why not, if he's pointing at me, I'm going, dude, take it easy, and I'm just here. You know, I drop him down, boom, and then I click him with something. If he's got me in a headlock, okay, and I'm here, you know, yeah, I could be doing my grappling techniques, whatever they might be, but the closest weapon might be, you know, bite him, grab, and come through. Look for what is closest to your tool and figure out a way to go for it. So think CWCT, every position. If you slow this down, he calls grappling. For a second, you may be going, oh, I really was going to knee him here. Okay, what do I need to do? You know, what's close? That little move is close, whatever it is. Okay, so remember, CWCT. Go back to it. Don't practice missing and don't practice pulling. Okay? A lot of people do Range Rover and all our drills. I'm doing them really fast. In some instances, just to show you what it would look like a little bit more realistically. But in drilling, if you practice missing, you practice pulling, you're teaching yourself to miss and pull. Okay? So if he throws that haymaker at me, okay, and that's the speed, okay, we're actually going to slow it down, otherwise we're going to really be cracking each other. We're going to move at that speed. He calls the range, so call one of the 4.
Leg.
He calls legs. I'm going to go boom and drill him, okay? I didn't pull a shot and I didn't miss. I didn't go, okay, and I didn't go fast and then slow. Same time frame motion, pop. And that lets him move to it, okay? It's also letting me practice impact, and it's giving me that feel. What does it feel like to actually hit somebody? Now from here, I'm going to call striking. Now he does the same thing. He calls something else. You go
Close quarters.
He calls close quarters, and I'm going, okay, what do I want to do? From here, I'm just going to reach out, rake across his eyes, okay, and I've grabbed his head. Now I'm going to call close quarters. Okay, and now we're here, and the fight keeps going. He calls something.
Strikes.
Okay, he calls strikes. I'm going, you. Okay, but from here, I may go, man, look, no more, no more, no more, boom, and then I'm into him. Okay, you don't know what's going to work, because I may have been picking up a rock while I was going, dude, that's it, you know, and I may have grabbed him, boom, and then slammed him with a rock or whatever it may have been. Okay, understand all my stuff is about like fighting for your life. You know, you're not arresting the drunk Friday night. Should have made that clear. But is everyone cool with that? Keep it time framed and make sure that you're not jumping speed and you're not practicing continually missing and pulling. A lot of guys particularly are afraid of hitting one another with elbows. And so you'll see people doing this, like, gotcha. Go ahead and slow it down and make contact so that you feel what it feels like. Again, just a little point of technique. When people hit with elbows, they tend to do this, right? They tend to pull it toward them and cut it off. That's not the way to hit somebody hard. Hit them at 90 and just follow through. Okay, can you, everyone kind of visualize that? You figure that kind of stuff out in this drill. And you're all finding already, like, I've never practiced hitting someone with an uppercut from here. But could that happen? Yeah, because you could be bent over a chair or over the hood of your car. You know, you're here having to go boom and hit somebody or throw an elbow. If you don't practice off balance in the gym, out there it's a hard place to try and learn how to generate power and speed that way. Okay, go back to the drill. It's almost like that old brachial stun, except there's no telegraph. Just boom, you just drive it through. Keep that hand open, use the forearm. Okay, now we're going to make it more fun for both of you. So we're going to go to phase 2, okay? So now you're going to be going back and forth, back and forth. One thing, again, I want to warn you about, don't practice as much as possible. Don't practice telegraphing your shots, okay? Because a lot of you, like I've seen several, we're down on the floor somehow, and you're coming up here and going, right? Which, honestly, you probably would do. Because in a real fight where you're like, I want to hurt this guy really bad, it's like this. If I go, okay, this guy's been trying to kill you, he raped your kid, etc. You know, serious emotional involvement, and you're in this position, and I went, whoa, 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 freeze, here's a baseball bat. You wouldn't go clink, right? You'd go, you'd stand up where you get some pressure. You're going to do that naturally, okay? So in the drill, try and be more non-telegraphic. Try and be tighter. So if we're here and he calls striking, instead of going like this, you know, maybe think about boom, dropping a shot in the groin. Pop here, okay? Maybe just smack into the face or eyes. Whatever it is, real tight little shots, because those are the ones that are going to distract him the most and get him moving, because the more he's moving and thinking about getting hit, the less he's thinking about hitting you. There's a, There's a great saying, a guy named Ron Don Vito. He created the line system.
I thought he created.
He created the line system, and you know, where you can think about that, whatever you think about it. It was for the Marine Corps 20 years ago. But his saying is, grappling may be your thing, but blunt trauma is king. And that's true. Okay, in the real world, most fights end with blunt trauma. Okay, so figure out little tight ways that you can hit people from real short distances in this drill. Okay, any questions about this one? Going back and forth? Okay, go for it. When you call grappling in this drill, try not to make it something where you got to do 5 or 6 biomechanical shifts. Okay? If Gary punches at me and I'm here and he calls grappling, I'm probably not going to do this. You know, shift it. Because in real life, what's he going to do? He punches at me, and as soon as I do this, oh, there went my choke. Okay, so grappling needs to be like one move. He calls grappling, and I'm just thinking, you know, maybe that's this wrap, you know, and I'm just here. Or it's something as simple as just pulling him in, you know, and getting a little elbow crank or something going. Don't make it real complex. Okay, go back to it. Okay, it's a very interesting drill. Like I said, it'll teach you a lot. There's a lot of ways, there's like 12 different variations of that drill. Okay, you can do it so many different ways. It's really fun. You can put gear on whenever you're able to disengage. You can transition to weapons. You can do all that kind of stuff. Because this is a knife course, today we're going to do something a little bit more interesting. Okay, so can you throw me a blade? Somebody. Thank you. Now, one person in each set is going to have the blade. The blade's going to go back behind in the belt. We're going to start the drill. Okay, he's going to throw the first punch at me. I'm going to jam it. However, he's going to call one range or the other.
Kicks.
Okay, he's going to call legs or kicking. Boom, I'm going to drill him there. He's going to start to fall. Now I'm going to call grappling. Okay, because he's nice and tight where we would be, you know, down to here. He's going to call something else. Strikes, and I'm thinking, you know, I could do here, but I'm looking at Gary's head going, I don't want to hit that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll my fingers through, fish hook him a little bit, boom, and pop him in the face. Okay, he's I'm going, not my ankle. Now, in the middle of this drill, y'all, the guy here carrying the knife, I'm going to yell now. When I yell now, the knife comes out. And it's going to be slow, but the knife's going to come out, and he's going to make a move. And I'm going to jam it. Okay? Now from here, the drill keeps going. Okay? He's going to call a range now. Strike. So I'm going to secure, boom, and I'm going to come through and try and drive him off of me. And this, you know, it's going to be all kind of stuff. Okay? But the idea is that blades very often come out in the middle of fights. You want to start feeling what that looks like and what you can do to jam it, secure it, and then you're going to have to start fighting one-armed. Is everyone cool with that? Is that too confusing, or? All right, let's go. Grab a knife. Hide the knife, put it away. Everyone will start the drill on my signal, go. And whenever I say now, the blade will come out. And it may be after 2 moves, it may be after 8. You don't know. Okay, ready, go. Keep it slow, keep it controlled. Don't practice missing, don't practice pulling. Careful. Now. Okay. Once it's there, try and get to that secure. Now the drill continues. Okay. So you got a call now. Yeah, I can tell. What's that?
Call back and forth still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody listen up. When the knife comes out, when I call now, it doesn't make any difference what's going on. That's when you reach, you pull the knife out, you make your first move. Okay? Make it slow, make it so they can see it, and you either get some kind of evasion, trap, or pass. Once it's passed and secured, the drill continues just like it was before. Only now there's a blade involved. Okay? So that means what this is teaching you is, again, controlling the blade while you're fighting and reminding you that the bad guy, if he knows what he's doing or he's fighting for his life, may try and hit you or knee you or kick you while he's holding a knife. Okay? And you got to be aware of all that stuff. Okay? So go ahead and go back to it. And go.
Strike.
Okay. You guys are
Too close?
no, not too close. You're great distance, but you guys are popping like this. Okay. Think about if I'm going to hit him, boom, hit him and follow through. If I'm going to hit him, pop, hit him and follow through, because that's what's going to happen. Okay, you guys are staying too, it's still too, like martial art interaction. Okay, back to it. And now, there you go. Go ahead and get the jam, pull it in, get a wrap somehow. Once you've got it jammed, now the drill continues. Do that again. You practice missing though. Okay, so from here, you're gonna have to lean in, get up there and hit him. Let's reverse it now. Other partner has the blade. Now, let me ask you before we start this next round, how different was that? Okay, once the blade's out, all of a sudden everything focuses on it, right? So, again, great training drill, because again, if you watch dash cams and you watch knives coming out in real fights, this is usually how it happens. I have like I said, I've got a great video, and it's a very weird video. I don't know how it all happened, and some of you may have seen it. It's two women fighting, and one of them has the other one by the hair, throws her through a sliding glass door, comes out, and literally, I don't know if she had some training or not, but she is kneeing her. She's got her down by the hair. Boom, she's kneeing her. She's kicking her in the face. The one that's getting kneed and kicked goes down to her knees, and she's doing this. Okay, you see her trying to get that blade out. Once it comes out, she does this. Boom, boom. Okay? Then what happens? It pisses her off, and she still gets the crap kicked out of her. Okay? But the person who got cut didn't even know the blade was there. Okay, so again, you want to play with these different variables so that you know if you've got someone on the ground and they're doing this, and you're like hitting them, and they're not feeling up and doing something that would be natural at that point, it may be because they're trying to access a weapon. How many of you saw that security guard got shot? He was chasing a guy down. This is the bad guy. He's running. The security guard grabs him. As the guy's falling, he's got a gun in his belt. He falls all the way down in the gutter, comes up, boom. Okay? Kills him. So again, anytime you see that silhouette, that body silhouette do this, and it's not in response to shock, you got to be thinking he's reaching for something, he's going for something, and you want to train for that, you know, in drills like this. Okay? So, other partner has it. Let's go for it. Ready? Go. Yeah. Now, listen up real fast. Good drill? After the second time, were you starting to feel the change in energy when you're working on the guy, and then all of a sudden he goes for that transition to a blade? The more you do this, the more you'll feel, as soon as people start to reach for something, you'll pick up on that energy and you're able to move on them faster. Now, a couple of critiques. A lot of you are still trying to do a lot of real technical stuff. A lot of you are still trying to grapple too much. You're doing a lot of biomechanical transitions. That's a byproduct of how you train. Does that make sense? There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? If you like to roll, fantastic. If you like to box, fantastic. If you like to Thai box, fantastic. But don't confuse it with real fights. Okay? It's not the same. It may be, but it might not. But it might not be. And so, if you confuse it, and that's all that you ever do, you're setting yourself up to fall into some habitual patterns that might not work for the environment. I strongly suggest at some point, if you got high gear, you got some kind of decent, fist gear or something you can train in, do this in a stairwell. Do it on concrete. Do it out of your car. Okay? One of the coolest drills, put a mat down beside the car, pop the door open, like you're trying to pull someone out of a car, and do Range Rover right there. Okay? Do it facing the curb, do it facing the street. Then it's like friggin' Grand Canyon drill. Okay? The guy's lunging out of the car trying to tackle you, and you're trying to step and hit and try not to go out into the street. Okay, there's all these different little variations. They don't cost you anything monetarily to do, but they could save your life or someone's life who you're training. Okay? Are there any questions about any of the drills? I wish we had about 38 more hours. Did you pick up some stuff you can at least start to play with and implement? That's the point of these courses and this kind of session. So, excellent. Yeah.
I just felt like you take what you get.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, because you weren't in a...
That is the ultimate, kind of the ultimate explanation of Range Rover. Again, is that the bad guy always controls the fight. In other words, you take what he gives you. You can't do any more than that. By definition, you can't beat the perfect opponent because he never gives you anything to hit. You know? So you can only beat the guy who gives you something to hit, but that might be his foot, it may be his ankle, it may be his hand. You know? I saw several of you, interestingly enough, in the middle of this knife grapple. One of you is on top of the other, the knife's on the ground, and I hear someone call striking, and you're going, boom, and you're still trying to hit him in the face. You know, rather than thinking, oh, concrete, hand, boom! Okay? The proverbial, you know, Gallagher watermelon sledgehammer. You start looking for those things that you can use, you know, stomps, use the environment. You got to start thinking about this as concrete and gravel and all the other places that you might fight, because that'll also change your tactics some. It's just about giving yourself permission to be creative, and again, understand all the stuff that we were working on today is for a really high-level threat. Okay, the guy who's willing to kill you or injure you badly to get away. Obviously, this is way above what would be normal use of force in certain instances. But if you don't have skill, I was telling these guys over here, great saying is that awareness without skill equals anxiety. Okay? So if you know that there may be people who are going to try and kill you, and you also know that you don't have the skill to stop them, you're going to walk around every day of your working life with extreme anxiety. That makes cops much more willing to do what? Escalate. Okay? And that's where a lot of the bad stuff that happens comes from. It's not so much that they have bad training, it's that they don't have confidence in their ability to handle what comes at them. Okay? Questions on that? I was really impressed, guys. You did a very good job with all the drills. Just keep making sure you're working at the appropriate speeds. Stay safe as you do this. Over to Gary.
Okay, take 5 minutes, get a break, come back with your belts and mock guns, mock weapons, okay? Real quick, we'll talk about a few things and why this kind of came about. Last summer I was approached by CJTC and on behalf of Olympia PD and Bellingham PD to put together a tactical knife course for law enforcement, right? Reasoning was that they had their officers already carrying knives out there. They had no training with them, okay? So we started looking at some of these other courses around, and yeah, that would work, that's okay. And we said, well, hey, for the next about 2 or 3 months, let's do some of our own training on it, right? Let's pull some of the officers that are actually carrying knives out there. Let's look at what the officers are carrying and stuff like that. We found some really interesting things, real interesting things. As we started looking at some of this, and the departments that were already issuing knives and stuff like that, we found that the officers were mostly carrying them on the same side as their duty weapon. Why do you think that would be? Because most of them are right hand, or most of them are carried with their dominant hand, right? But what were knives usually used for, do you think? Opening box, opening mail, stuff like that, right? So they were just in a pocket, usually on the same side as their weapon, usually used for all types of utility functions, okay? Some of the knives that we looked at, guess what? This thing's sharper than most of them that we actually looked at, okay? And these were the knives that people were calling their secondary or backup weapons. Other knives that we saw out there, this is worse than most, but this one's fully open, locked. You can see that just a little bit of pressure on here will close it, okay? We found knives out there, the officers are carrying $40, $50, you know, kind of cheap knives, right? Smith & Wesson type knives, stuff like that. Real cheap breaks, stuff like, and we said, well, why are you carrying that? What was the response, you think? What's that? It's cheap, right? It's cheap. We said, wait a minute, that's your, especially if they weren't carrying backup firearms, that's your backup weapon, and you're going to carry something out there that you could buy $20 or $30. And why would that happen? Because basically they didn't want to lose them, right? So we said, hey, you know, if you cut somebody with this, first time you jab this into somebody, what's going to happen to it? It's going to close up, lock in, probably take off your own fingers, okay? This happened in Louisiana, actually. Officer, one of the troopers down there was in a fight almost 22 minutes for his firearm. Firearm was eventually thrown just deep into the woods, and the only thing he had on him was a knife. He went to cut the guy with a knife as the guy was picking up a rock or brick on the side of the road. They were in a grappling match. He went to cut him. As soon as he jabbed in the ribs, it closed up and took off his 2 forefingers right here. Okay, 2 forefingers right there. So we found one thing, that if you're going to start carrying a knife as a backup, you know what? Pay a little extra money, and get a decent one. Benchmade, Emerson, Saw, there's a whole bunch of good ones out there. Paid extra money for it. You know what? If you have to be more vigilant about where you have it, stuff like that, do it, you know. But the thing is this, we don't carry the cheapest guns out there, most of us, right? At least we wouldn't choose to. We don't carry the cheapest ammunition. Most of us wouldn't choose to. Same thing. If you want to carry this as your backup, as your secondary, make it a good one. Make it a good one. Other thing is, don't start using it to cut boxes, you know, all that type of stuff too. Like I said, we looked at some of them, and some of them had chips on the tips, the blades were as dull as these training knives that we have right now. And the reality is it probably wouldn't help them much when they needed it, especially for what we're going to talk about when you actually need it. The other thing we found, like I said, most of them had them in their right hand. We started doing weapon retention with them. How do you think they would go to their knife? Most of them couldn't get to their knife. Where else do we carry them at? Okay, front vest, right? You see the nice neck knives and stuff like that? Well, again, good idea, good place to put them. But we found out, especially when we were in grappling matches with them right here, guess what? Usually the offender got to them way before the officer did. Even when the offenders didn't know officers had knives on them, as soon as the offenders saw them start coming up and start trying to bust open their shirt or start reaching in them, guess what? Now the offender knew that they had a knife in them, but another thing that happened is once they start reaching in here and this hand came free, now they had nothing to start protecting themselves. And it was a lot longer for them to get these knives out of there. The chain knives, the same thing. The chain knives, when we started grappling with them, I think we had 8 or 10 of them, and all of the chains broke within the first 20 or 30 seconds of actually getting into the confrontation. So a lot of times the knives were way down here in the shirt and hard to get to. So again, a good idea. Most of those knives are pretty decent knives for what they're made for, but the reality is once we really got in there and started grappling with them, they weren't there to be gotten. We found a few guys that were actually carrying them in the boot and stuff like that. Same thing as carrying your backup weapon down there, same problem as this, right? If I'm up here fighting for my weapon, how can I actually get down there for my backup? A lot of times when they saw the officer start to reach down there, the bad guy would go down there and oftentimes get the knife before them. All right? So, again, think about where you're carrying your backup. The easiest thing we found was either one on the opposite side or your non-dominant side, on the opposite side of your holster, or actually in a pouch or on your belt somewhere. Okay? Easy to get to. A few of the officers, I think it was Bellingham up there, said, well, they didn't like that because the offender knew they had a knife on them. Well, you know, I don't know too many offenders that would see you had a knife on it and go for the knife versus going for your firearm in there, right? Okay? Yeah, you're carrying a gun on the other side. If that's not going to stop this guy from going after you, I don't know what carrying a knife on there and being able to see it was going to do, okay? The finding in the belt or like in a regular pouch for your belt was a good idea. Again, if I'm in here and I'm locked up in here, wrestling in here, it didn't take much for me to get to a knife that was inside one of my holders up front. So that was actually a very good idea for him. Okay. Other thing that was real interesting, what we found is that when we started talking to officers and when we started getting them in training and we started doing the knife stuff, even if it was in the opposite pocket, guess what they'd do? They'd open them up, switch hands, and then always try to use their dominant hand with it, okay? A trooper over in Eastern Washington, a guy we know, had it. We said, oh man, this is the first guy we've seen that has the knife in the opposite, the opposite of his firearm. And when we asked to see it, the first thing he did was he opened it up, he brought it out here, put it in this hand, and then opened it up so that we could see it. So that tells you that he did what with training? He never trained that way, right? The thing really that we found there is that the guys who were carrying knives weren't really training with them. Weren't really training with them at all. When we started to ask them to do some of the drills without really telling them exactly what we wanted them to do, we saw that. We saw that even in the fight right here, and they would get their knife, they might even get it out, but they'd always try to transition over here to start trying to get it to work. Versus doing what? Open it with their offhand and start going to work with it. Okay? So when you're carrying a knife, once you start working your offhand with it. Grips and stuff like that. We went to some of the collie guys, Chris's guys, and a few other places, and And we started working with these guys and all these different knife drills and stuff. And like I said, same thing we found out with them is as soon as they were locked in and the knife came out, it wasn't these real flowing circle motions. They weren't going to these real fancy knife grips. They were actually going to just lock on hard, either one hammer type grip or two ice pick type grip. Okay? And another thing is we found with that is that when we actually started putting stuff on the blade, or putting stuff on the handle itself like to make it slipperier, guess what happened to this type of grip a lot of times? Especially in the grappling matches, it came out pretty easy. So we found that just going to a basic grip, basic locked up grip, became the best thing for us. And we found also in the training and dealing with everybody, is that's what they were going to anyhow. Even the guys that were really trained, once they were getting a knife in this position, they were going to this type of grip. Okay? The bad thing we really found in this is that no matter what type of grab would happen in here, the officer would be locked up in here. As soon as he started going for his knife, guess what he started forgetting about? Started forgetting about his firearm. Because where'd all his focus start going? Start going to the knife and trying to open the knife. Okay? We found that a lot of times, even after we were drilling, that they would get so focused on trying to get the knife out that they would start losing some of the weapon retention stuff, and now this guy was getting the gun, and this guy was having a knife, and which one would you have rather retained? The gun, okay? So we start breaking them up. We start breaking them up, the skill steps into, or the drills into skill steps. And pretty much stuff that we've already done, most of us. We'll just go through one real quick here. And say you had the cross-hand grab on me. First thing, our first priority would have been what? Secured our weapon, right? Drop, wrap, keeping the head to the outside. What would we usually do from here? What do we usually do? That we'd start maybe striking, getting them off balance, right? And that's when we just retain that in there. Retain that in there because the thing we found is, what's this guy's mindset? If he's going to attack you, he's going to try to get your gun, he's going to try to hurt you, right? It's that pretty predatory mindset, right? And the more that we let him in here and play, the more predator-like he got. But when we start changing his mindset in there, we start getting this. We start getting these flinch response and trying to get away, okay? Now is when we start going, okay, now we're in here, I can't get his hand free yet. Now is when we start going for the knife, for the presentation of the knife. The drill we're going to do today is basically when we get this knife out, we found is how many of you practice jab cross? Most everybody does, right? That's the same thing we're going to be doing here. Focus mitts up, okay? Is we're just going to have it up. We're just going to have you jab, jab, jab. And we're going to have you keep the knife, whether it be in this grip or whether it be in this grip, same thing. When I'm in here and I'm struggling, I'm just going to start hitting them with it. What happens to that mindset? Okay, he starts bleeding out. He starts getting cut up. Again, what are we doing there? What are we doing to him? Okay? Now, if he wants to try to get away from me, the knife's just going to come up. It's going to lock in right here. And this reason is that as I let his hand slip free, I want to make sure that I still have retention of the gun as out. But what's happening to the wrist as it's being brought up in there? Again, whether it's this grip or whether it's this grip, I start to slip free. The knife's just going right down the arm. If this stuff hasn't changed, now we go for destruction, okay? And you guys know that if I just jab him, will he die? Yeah, he could, right? Bleed out, okay? But how long is it going to take? A while, right? So our main priority in here is going to be doing what? Is going to be starting to take away the function of this arm, all right? Start to take away the function of the arm. I'd rather disable the arm right now and get him to release and get away with that arm and let him live than to jab him up 5 or 6 times, maybe get my gun, and maybe kill me and then die 20, 30 minutes later. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so again, the 3 stages are he grabs at me. 1 is a wrap or lock, okay, making sure that gun is secure. I want to make sure that my whole focus on this is this gun, all the way through this drill. Even when we're striking, boom, 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 And now I'm going, okay, now I'm in a position where I can present. But I want my focus to still be on here, okay? Whether that's where you're grabbing in, locking into your shirt, or whatever you're doing, make sure this is still that main focus. Main focus, presentation comes out, whether it be from the pocket, okay? When it comes out, I just want punches. Boom, boom, boom. Like I said, if he tries to leave, if he's trying to get away from me, am I going to let him get away? Yeah, because that's where I want him to go. Knife just comes right to the arm. As he strips out, boom. It strips out down with him. Once we create distance, the gun's going to come out, and the knife actually comes forward. Okay? You guys, we haven't gone to brace contact, so it's not in the... But brace contact's coming here and here for close quarters. Well, if I got my knife in my hand, what's going to happen is I come here and here. Or if I try to block up like this in a fight, what's going to happen? I might stab myself in the head, right? So the blade's actually going to come out forward here. Okay? And it gives him just a few options. One, he can either keep his distance, right? If he comes directly in, he's still going to run into that, which I don't think most people are going to do, but it's going to make him go to angles, right? Okay? I'm just going to keep him angling off. Now, boom, I let my gun work. But it's going to keep him that distance in case he tries to come in and grapple right away. What? Yeah. Yeah. But again, even if I have my stub, my nasty little stub out here, yeah, I'd rather him run into this than to be able to get into here with me. Does that make sense? Okay?
To me, it doesn't only because of this. I mean, if you've got that knife, why not just bring it in here?
You could. There's nothing saying you couldn't.
And now you're not in danger of...
There's nothing saying you couldn't. Nothing saying you couldn't bring it in here at all. What we don't want is us...
I just didn't know what the purpose was of keeping that.
Keeping distance. Keeping that distance. Okay? I want him to focusly see. I don't want him charging back in at me.
Okay.
Because like you said, Murphy's Law from here and here, all of a sudden he charges in, I try to get the knife out, and he blocks it from coming in. This is more of him trying to...
I meant specifically when the firearm is out.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm talking the same thing. Okay? My same shooting position, right? If I'm here and here, and I'm here, nothing saying we couldn't do this. Okay? The only thing we found in this sometimes, and this happens a few times, is that as he started to come in, sometimes he would get by that. Here he still has to get around it. Does that make sense?
It's over my head, because why aren't we shooting at that point?
Well, we would be.
Okay.
We would be. Because just like in the movies, okay, if I hit him with this, he's not going to get blown all the way to the wall.
Right.
I could hit him 4, 5, 6 times, and he can still come into me.
Yeah, I understand that. You're still going to put rounds on that, right?
Absolutely. This thing's going to be going, boom, 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 boom. And if worse comes to happens, where it looks like Braveheart and I got him speared, and I'm lifting him up in the air and it's still going, I just want him to keep that distance. Does that make sense? Okay? Visually, I want him to know, I don't want him charging back into me. And if he does, I'd rather him coming into something than for him coming into my body. Does that kind of make sense? Play with it, Dave. Just play with it.
One way
just
that you can make this a little bit safer, and also just the mindset shift, is when the blade's out. So if I have the blade out and I'm in this position, what you want to think about training is in his eye line. Okay,
Yeah.
Blade in the eye line, and this held, again, low in this position. Visually, when people are coming in on you, if they pick up this, it's not the same deterrent as this. Okay, because this, he knows he can pass it and get by. So if I'm here and I'm here, now he's going to have to do something to come around. It's the same concept if you box. Okay, why you're not here. Okay, because he's going to come right down the pipe. So if I'm here and I've got my hand up in this position, he's going to have to come around one way or the other. Held in that close contact position. So he's got the gun out and in that close contact position. If I pull out, and this is the distance that we wind up at, it's just, again, distance-wise, I'm way closer to his gun. And if he's jazzed, and we're here, and he's got, even with his finger on the trigger, at this distance, there's no block for me going for it. So if I'm here, this I'm going to have to pass. If it's in tight, I can be here, right away. And if the guy sees the gun, he's going to go after the gun. So that's, again, positionally, but you got to play with it.
Yeah, play. Like I said, this is more visual than anything. I want them. Matter of fact, if he's going after me, I would rather him focus on even grabbing at this versus going for my gun. Does that kind of make sense?
Truthfully, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't. To me, it makes no, I mean, I understand you have the problem of, okay, my knife's already out. And my gun.
Well, let's play with it. Play with it.
Oh, no, I know. We'll do it. To me, it's like you shoot the guy.
Well, we are shooting them. We're going to be lighting them up. He already went after a gun. We've gotten him away, right? If I've cut him or whatever, and he charges back in, you better be lighting him up.
I don't need my hand out there. I don't need my hand out there in danger. If anything, if he's coming in, I'm putting it on him and then shooting him as opposed to.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Okay.
If he's out here, man, boom, I'm right. Yeah, and I'm shooting at the same time.
Okay.
All this is a distance is a distance keeper.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a distance keeper, but if he breaks that distance, that's
If he's coming back at me, I just retain my weapon from him fighting me, and say I've kicked him out and I've drawn my weapon. He's coming back in. If he's here, I'm shooting. I'm shooting, right? He comes in, boom. I'm just shooting. Okay? Does that make sense? Dwayne, you had something too? Yeah, that's what I meant visually. This is more of a visual deterrent. Even if his focus is on me at this time and I stick this out, you know, he might do what? He might target glance this, target this, and like I said, the worst thing that happens is he grabs this, it still opens him up for what? For my gun to do the work. This is what I want to do the work. At any time in this drill, you know, it's really not the knife that's going to be doing the work. The knife is doing what? Deterring them, right? Deterring them. It's the gun that we want to get on that's going to be doing the work. All right? Okay? So, basically this, just one partner grab focus mitt. Yeah, just one. You're only going to need one. Does that make sense, man? Or,
Well, no. I mean, it doesn't. It does to me in this sense. Okay. Your hand does not need to be out there when you're tapping around. You know, we know what it's like. You're going to be shooting.
yeah.
So now we've just fought. I've got the knife.
Okay.
We've just fought. I've got the knife. My knife's out. I managed to get my gun. I'm going to leave it here. Now, when you come in, now that's where, bam.
Let me see it.
That's where I'm going to be using.
Why would you let me come in, though? Why would you let me come in?
Because I don't want to shoot myself. Okay.
Well,
At this point,
look.
My deal is this: if you're not going to come in, or if you're going to come in when I've got this.
Well, look.
Okay.
If I got the knife out, right?
Okay.
And you're not coming in. Say you start creating distance from me.
Okay.
Why can't I just come back here and here then?
But see, that's exactly my thought.
Yeah.
Why would
this is for when that guy's still in here.
Okay. I wouldn't leave it out here until he comes in.
Well, again, put it down there. Put it down there. If I'm here and here, right? Bam, 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 bam. Are you hitting?
And then cut. Bam. Now I do that, but now I'm doing.
Why would you just leave it out here?
Because now I'm not dangerous shooting myself in the hand when I'm Joe non.
Knife in your offhand. Okay. Either grip. And my partner with the focus mitt. You got the focus mitt. Okay. All he's going to do is he's just going to lay out target. Okay. Just target. Change target around. Move a little bit. Okay. But all we want you getting used to is allowing this target hand to start making strikes on there. You see when it hits the pad? Hits the pad, what also hits? The blade's also hitting, right? Blade's also hitting. But we want you to focus on the same way you train with your boxing, same way you're going to use this. All right? Okay, try it. Yeah, knife in your hand.
When I tripped you, not even.
Bonk, you know where we got this at, right? You know where we got this at? No. From that class you went to?
Oh, with the Ray Floral? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the boxing, that's all it is.
Yeah.
He does
When you're boxing, okay, that's good because you're working on good technique. That's exactly what you need to be doing. But try and inject that mindset of, if I've got a guy who's trying to get my gun, what are my punches going to look like? Okay? It's not going to be a lot of dancing. And it's going to be a little bit more angle and a little bit more sloppiness to it, okay, quite honestly. So you want to watch this, make sure...
Yeah, it's not going to be the beautiful jazz, man. If it be here, it might be here. Yeah. Partners too. Change the pad around a little bit, so I have to do some hooks. Because a lot of times you're going to see that when we start wrapping in here, guess what? It's hard for me to get to the head right now. I have to do what? Start hitting to the body, hitting to the body.
Look at this. He's moving 2 to 3 feet for his target.
Oh, sorry.
So the guy who's holding the focus pad moving around, the guy who's punching, you don't have gloves on and it's not a jab contest. Okay? Mindset in what you're trying to do.
That's why we start adding this in, because guys that were good with their hands, when they start getting a knife in it, they also start forgetting about this hand, or they start forgetting about the gun. So we train them just like if we would regularly be boxing. Boom, boom. And create some distance and simulate firing on. This is one that we've been doing with the airsoft. Of course, we don't have enough pads, eye protection for everybody in here. But with the airsoft, it would be, we do the drill with boom, 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 come out, draw the weapon, come up, boom, 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 put them on the airsoft or on the body itself, depending on what they were wearing. Okay, so now to simulate that you're firing at the target, but if you got airsoft, you got gear, it's a good target to do. Start with it in. Yeah. Hey, that's all right. That's all right. So you're boom, boom, boom. Create some. Yeah. Then you have a partner come in so that you feel that here and here. And then as you're drawing, like I said, with the high gear and stuff like that, you'll just be hitting these. Focus mids. We put like a face protector on them and try to hit the focus mids. So. Left hand. So you see it on the tape here, okay? Doesn't matter which hand it's on, just going to depend on which hand he grabs with, okay? So we'll have him either the cross hand grab, same side grab, or two hand grab. Bad thing about two hand grab is that when you start striking, partner has to do what? Has to take some shots, okay? But with the pad that we're going to do today, we'll just do like a same side or cross hand grab, so only one's in it. So we're standing here, we'll be here talking, all of a sudden he'll grab at it, boom! We want you to get in there so you're getting that good lock on. Okay? Try to get back, see if you can get that sweep. If you can't, that tells you what? That's the time to start striking, right? Okay, I'm in here, we're rolling around a little bit. I can't get my gun free, I can't get him free. What's his intention, you think, at this point? Get that gun. He gets that gun, what's his intention? Okay, kill you, right? What's the percentage officers kill with their own weapons? Almost 90%. Almost 90%, okay? So that's put us in a reasonable enough to go to a deadly force ourselves. Absolutely. So from here, we'll be rolling around. I'll come up. My partner will present a target. Boom. Throw a few shots. Give him a few to the stomach. Okay, at some point in here, once you unbalance them, now you're going to go to your knife. Present the knife. Same thing now. Jab, jab. Show me a few different targets there. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? At some point, he comes off. As he starts coming off, I want that knife coming right down the arm. Right down the arm to ensure that gun's not out. Back out. If he steps back in, back into me. Boom, boom. And, just simulate shooting right now. All right? Focus on keeping that gun. That's the most important thing. So, and we won't do this because we're running short of time here. But the final part, Dwayne, let me use you, but pay attention next time. Okay, the final part of the drill was basically if we got caught on the ground. So we'd start on the ground and in any position for now, so you guys can see, we'd do the same thing. We'd start on the ground. First thing would be, again, is we want to retain our weapon, right? Retain our weapon. So some type of wrap up, some type of striking in here. If he has the focus mid on, he can put the focus mid over here so that we can actually strike into here. Okay, but the main thing again is focus on keeping that gun, At some point in this fight, whether I off balance him some or I create space, he's still locked in. That's when we'll present out the knife. And as the knife gets presented out, same thing. They'll focus mid up and we'll start striking into the focus mid, okay? And then we'll actually go through a full reversal, escape. And again, we want to eventually get to what? A primary. So from that drill, the main goal is escape from that ground position to get to your primary. All right? Any questions? Any comments? Huh?
No, I'm all done.
Okay. All right. Good, good. So again, this is stuff we're just dealing with and just stuff we're training with. In these drills that we've done, we have broken about 3 or 4 training knives. Training knives. So training knives, if you look at the blades, are a little bit thicker than your regular blade, right? Okay. A lot of times a little bit more sturdy because we know they're going to take more abuse. But that tells you about what? About the violence of being in that close quarters. Okay. So think about that. Think about when you guys buy your next knife. You know what type of knife you get. Many good ones out there. Many good ones out there. But don't buy one that you're not afraid to lose. If you know what I'm saying. Okay. Buy one that's going to be good for you. All right? Okay, I think we're taking a break for lunch. Then you're going to be back in here right after lunch. Our lunch.
You look good for that. Go Group 1. Come down just a little bit. You don't have to stand in the rain, but come down a little bit. I'll stand in the rain.
No, you don't have to.
You will here in a minute.
Second people who are slow learners.
Yeah. We'll let the trooper stand in the rain. Okay, Washington State is leading the nation in officers killed with their own weapons. If you're familiar with it, you've been following them. You had Officer Herzog, you had Saul Gallegos over in Chelan County, and then we had Officer Mayer. 3 officers in less than 2 years killed with their own weapons. I know that one of our troops just last summer, when we first transitioned from the Beretta and the rock forward type of a holster, we went to the SS3, level 3 Safariland holster. The month after he got his new weapon, he was down in Vancouver. He arrested an individual for DUI, or attempted to arrest him. He didn't realize or know that this individual had assaulted 9 police officers previously in Florida, and he had planned on assaulting the officer. As soon as the assault occurred, the officer's left arm was completely dislocated. It was taken completely out of the socket. He was on the ground. The bad guy jumped on top of him. The officer's going for his mic to call for backup, and the bad guy went immediately for the gun. And the holster secured it quite well, and unfortunately for him, there was a Metro Watch officer, or a Metro Watch security guy down there who was also a reserve officer who was carrying a weapon, who was watching it across the street, came over and was immediately right there. So we have a lot of these weapon retention issues coming out. If anybody looked at the study that Caliber Press put out about ground fighting and that type of stuff, they just recently put out a study. If you look back and you apply the study that they just put out to the numbers that they had from the Bureau of Justice in 1999. In 99, there were 55,200 and some assaults reported against police officers. Of those, 3/4 ended up on the ground, 3/4 of those assaults. So you're talking about 40,000 of those 55,000 assaults ended up on the ground. The Caliber Press report said that 20% of the time the bad guys go directly for the bad gun. Or for the officer's gun, the bad gun. For the officer's guns, it's the braces, man, I'm still getting used to them. Went right for the officer's weapon. So 20% of 40,000 is what, 8,000? So that year, if you just crunch the numbers, you had 8,000 times did the bad guy go for an officer's gun across the United States. If that doesn't put the need for weapon retention issues in your mind, I don't know what is. And statistics show, and I just saw another statistic yesterday, it used to be 84%, but it's actually over 90% of the time, if the bad guy gets the weapon from you, they're going to use it on you. Okay, over 90% of the time now. Articulate, we're already at lethal force, right? If they have intent and they're going for your weapon, it's not just a drunk falling and happens to grab it on his way down and you kill him. I'm talking about somebody who's actually trying to take your weapon away. So with the weapon in the holster, we're not going to deal with that issue so much today. What we're going to be dealing with is the weapon out of the holster. How many of you have rolled on the ground? I know a lot of the wrestling guys have rolled on the ground fighting for weapons. If you have not, I encourage you to do it over and over and over again. Like Don said, in the early mornings when he was at the CJTC, they would do that type of stuff. At the wrestling groups, we do it all the time. We sit back to back, put the weapon between us, turn, fight for the weapon on the ground. The one thing that I've learned, and I know a lot of other people, and I'm sure those who have done it have learned it as well, whoever gets a hold of the barrel wins the fight when the weapon's out of the holster, because that's where the actual leverage is. Okay, just so that you guys know. We'll double check. There's no firing pin at all in this. Firing pin's been removed. Where's our firearms, guys? Any armors? So you know what I'm talking about. We're good. Firing pin's out. whoever gets a hold of this barrel is going to get it. So what we're going to focus on today is controlling the barrel. And then we want to focus on gross motor skills. Because if you're in the face of somebody trying to kill you, a lot of the fine motor dexterity stuff is out the window. Unless you practice it for 40 years and it's become second nature to you. We have to have gross motor skills, gross motor strikes, techniques that work even for troopers, right? And I've trained over half the department. We're at about, I don't know, about 700 or 800 troops that have been trained in this retention system, the brace contact and other, the wing, iron wing that we're going to learn today. And it's really good stuff. And all of them had no problems at all learning it, so you shouldn't have any problems. When you're going to, we're going to start off, let's all spread out to where we can start together. You're going to have to get out in the rain now. Leave me an opening, please. Okay.